The UConn Huskies open conference play in December with a 96-45 dismantling of SMU at the XL Center. Today, the Huskies look for a repeat performance deep in the heart of Texas in what could be a torrid homecoming for the junior point guard Moriah Jefferson, and what should be a record-setting afternoon for the senior forward Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis.
And she has tied Diana Taurasi's all-time record for three-pointers made here at the University of Connecticut.
We're getting you set for the Huskies and the Mustangs on the Connecticut Lottery UConn Women's Basketball pregame show, and it begins right now. Moody Coliseum in Dallas, Texas, where today the two-time defending national champions, the Connecticut Huskies, look to make it 13 consecutive victories. As we welcome you, it's the Connecticut Lottery UConn Women's Basketball pregame show. Gary Apple sitting alongside Kara Walters. Good to be with you on this Sunday. Kara, Connecticut coming off that convincing 98-60 victory over Tulsa on Wednesday. The head coach, your former head coach, the Hall of Famer Gino Auriemma, afterward showing some cautious optimism regarding his squad.
As a team, I think we still are finding what works for us and what doesn't. But I think in general, we're getting better. We're getting better at the things. There's still so many things that I think are missing, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that we weren't doing well a month ago that we're better at.
Well, Connecticut as a team has a 36-point winning margin on the season. So there are a lot of positives. They've won a dozen consecutive games. What's working, as you see it right now, so well for this team?
Well, obviously, they have a lot of people able to score the basketball. So they're sharing the basketball extremely well. The other thing this team does, their defense, they convert it into offense. 30 turnovers they forced against SMU in the last game. 41 points off those turnovers. So they do a great job in transition, getting in passing lanes, and then sharing the ball extremely well, getting up the floor. So that's something I think they've done very well.
And when they do get up the floor the way they have been, we see Kia Nurse right here. Gabby Williams has been terrific, and we see the bigs running the floor as well. Does that give them an added dimension when you have so many different types of players who can get up and down the floor at the pace that they do?
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes this team a little different than last year's team. Last year they had Stephanie Dolson. Not that she was real slow,
right,
but it's a different kind of game. They slowed it down. You saw more half-court sets. This year, with Moriah Jefferson kind of pushing the pace, getting it up the floor, you'll see a lot more transition. It's at a faster pace.
And I've said before, she attacks to the tin and protects the basketball so beautifully on the run. As for Breanna Stewart, she's the National Player of the Year. Here she is, Kara. I don't think there's any question. She's the best player in the country. She took just 3 shots in the win over Tulsa. She made all 3 shots. Did have 8 assists in the game, but does she need to be more aggressive offensively?
Absolutely. I don't think she's playing to her potential right now, which is scary because she's still the leading scorer and one of the best players in the country. But there is more that you can get out of Breanna Stewart. And I think sometimes because you have Moriah Jefferson, you have Morgan Tuck scoring so much now, it's really kind of easy to say, all right, they're on a roll. I don't need to score. But he needs her to have that aggressiveness, that mindset of when I get the ball, I'm not looking to pass, I'm looking to score. So although it's easy to kind of take a step back because you have a lot of people shooting the ball right now, that's one player that needs to be aggressive, shooting the basketball.
All right, so how do you get her? How do you get her more aggressive, and where do you find those shots for her?
Well, with her, it's all about setting screens to get her open. She had it's harder this year. She's double teamed, has more pressure on her, doesn't have the space that she had with Stephanie Dolson and Bria Hartley there, so she has to work a little harder. I'd like to actually see her. She's capable of shooting the outside shot and the inside shot. I'd like to see her go inside a little more, Gary. We know what she's capable of doing, posting up, but I think they have to work in general to get shots for her as well as Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis. So I think you're going to see a lot of movement. I think she's moving better than she did last year, but she has to keep moving. They have to set some screens, and I'd like to see some isolation in the post.
Well, all 5 Connecticut starters are averaging in double figures, and 2 players who in recent days have been absolutely tremendous, both Moriah Jefferson and Morgan Tuck. Looking at some numbers on these 2 players, Mariah has made 76% of her shots. She is 37 of 49 over the course of her last 5 games. And Morgan Tuck, over the course of her last 8 games, is averaging 16.5 points per game. So they have really, really stepped up. Who do you believe, and this might be tough to answer, but who do you believe is a more complete player right now?
That is tough because they play different roles and they're different positions. However, if you made me choose.
And I'm making you choose.
You're making me choose. I'm going to go with Morgan Tuck. And maybe I'm biased because I'm a big girl, but I'm going to go with Morgan Tuck. And the reason being is, although Mariah is the point guard of the team, I consider Morgan Tuck more of a leader, more of a facilitator. She's really getting the offense going. And you see how versatile Morgan Tuck is. She can go inside, outside. We saw her shoot a 3 from out there. There it is, right on cue, shooting that 3. So I consider her more all-around player, versatile, but because she adds that leadership quality this year that kind of runs the basketball and keeps everyone calm. Typically, your point guard might do that, but I see Morgan Tuck doing more of that. That's why I give her the edge on that.
All right, Morgan Tuck got 21 points in the win over Tulsa. Last time out, she had 23 in 36 minutes. Game before that against St. John. She has been really a huge, huge part of this Connecticut run. Again, after losing that early game to Stanford, Tuck and Kia Nursen started inserted into the starting lineup, and Connecticut has not lost since. As for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, she is tied at the moment with Diana Taurasi, 318 career three-pointers, most in school history. One more, she breaks that record, but she's made just 3 of 13 from beyond the arc in the last 3 games. What's going on with her?
I don't think she knows. She'll be the first to tell you. I'm not really sure what's going on. She's a shooter. Shooters go through slumps. She's still a terrific player. She's still a terrific shooter. Think about the high-rent district she's in with Diana Taurasi. She said, I never think about this record, and she honestly doesn't. But, hey, I'll take it because Diana can't come back and beat my record. That's impressive. So I think it's all about her confidence right now and being consistent. She's a senior. Gino trusts her. She has to trust herself. This team's going to start to try to get her open, set more screens for her. It's tiring. Again, they focus more on her this year without Bree and without Steph. You saw her get face guarded in that St. John's game the whole game. So she's having to work for 40 minutes, and that's a lot of work for her, not being the quickest and not being, in the best shape of all the teammates. So she's had to work a little harder, but Gino's also said, we have to help get her some more shots.
Right. It took her, by the way, 117 games to get to those 318 made three-pointers. It took Diana Taurasi 144 games to get to 318. So it's been a great ride, without question, for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis. So Karen and I just getting going here on the Connecticut Lottery, UConn women's basketball pregame show. A lot of expected from the freshman Gabby Williams, but is too much being expected from her? We're going to take a closer look when we come back. Plus, Gina Auriemma giving us an inside look at the challenge of scheduling opponents outside the American. We're back from New York City in just a moment. We get a look. Upcoming schedule for Connecticut presented by Town Fair Tire. Following today's game, the Huskies come back home, going to take on Temple and South Florida, and then they hit the road again, take on Central Florida and Cincinnati. For more on what lies ahead for UConn, we welcome in Kareth Burke, who joins us now from Moody Coliseum in Dallas. And Kareth, UConn handled SMU in a big way in their first meeting this season just a few weeks ago. So how did they duplicate that today down in Dallas?
Well, Gary, when the teams played not too long ago, UConn had 20 steals and 10 blocks, so their defense was really extraordinary against a young SMU team that had a little trouble keeping up. That defense kept each SMU player to 7 points or less in the game. When we're talking about how young the Mustangs are, they have 6 freshmen on the roster. That is the youngest team in the American. And when you're facing a team that swarms you on defense, that knocks you around in the paint and has speed, that was a combination that SMU just could not keep up with. UConn had 41 points off of turnovers the last time the teams faced. So if UConn's defense handles things today, the offense will take care of itself.
All right, Kareth, we thank you. See you coming up just a little bit. Our broadcast tipping off top of the hour here on SNY. By the way, that win early in the season against SMU, 96-45, all Connecticut. In the 3 games they have played SMU since the two have gotten together in the American Conference, UConn has won its 3 games by 145 points, averaging 48.3 points a game margin of victory. I think it's fair to say it's been total domination for the Huskies.
Yeah, and they didn't play them long ago, right? It was about 10 days ago. I think if UConn goes back down to 0 and SMU keeps the points they finished the game with, UConn might still be able to beat them, spotting them those points.
I think you're right. Let's turn to the freshman, Gabby Williams. She leads the American Conference in field goal percentage, close to 66% on the season. We knew she was heralded coming out of high school. What about her adjustment from the high school game to the college game and her role on this team as you see it?
Well, you have to remember, this is a young lady who basically didn't play for 2 years.
Right.
She had injuries in her junior and senior year in high school. Then she makes the adjustment to try to come to Connecticut, which is on a whole new level from high school. And Gino puts her in a new position. So here she's dealing with not playing. Now all of a sudden she's in a new position. I think she's handled it well. She's inconsistent. She'll tell you herself, it's been really hard adapting to the coaches being on me all the time, and it's nobody's fault but my own. So her consistency is key, and the freshmen start hitting a wall at some point, and this is the point in the season they start hitting that wall, little Gary. But she's really trying to know that what's needed of her, and the thing is, you earn your playing time in practice. It's not necessarily the games. And Gabby had a terrific game the last game. She had 15 points, so you can see it coming, and hopefully she's going to be a big help to them. She's athletic. She's one of the most athletic on the team, so hopefully she'll continue this role come tournament time.
I know you've talked about the fact that she is a tremendous athlete, has great hops, and you hear and you mentioned hitting that wall. For those of us who did not play at the level that you did and that these Connecticut players play at, what exactly goes into hitting the wall?
You finally kind of starting to figure it out, and then you realize you have to keep at that pace every day, which is totally different than high school, and all of a sudden it gets real tiring physically and mentally, and then you have to switch it up a notch to get ready come tournament time.
All right, another of the Connecticut freshmen, Kia Nurse, getting set tip-off down in Dallas. There was once a time where she did not think she was good enough to play for Connecticut. Now, she's averaging almost 13 points per game. Her story when we come back in just a moment.
Nurse sees an opening and finishes. Kia Nurse takes it to the basket, and UConn's in front.
Nice pass.
And here's Nurse back the other way for 2 more. Nurse open again. Well, she's got the stroke right now. You can just see it coming off her hand. Easy look for Kia Nurse.
Time now for Shining the Light, presented by Restoration Lighting Gallery. Kia Nurse, she has stepped into the starting lineup and done quite well. Quite an impact as a freshman for the Huskies this season. And for more on the Canadian native, here's Kareth Burke once again.
This kid here, number 11, she's going to be really good. She's a freshman. She's going to be really, really good.
Fresh off an appearance in the FIBA World Championship as a member of the Canadian national team, freshman Kia Nurse arrived on campus determined to make her presence felt. But she did so carrying some self-doubt. She opened up about it during the first days of practice.
I just always sold myself short, and it was to the point where I thought I was good, but I wasn't great. At first, I was still really questioning whether I was good enough to actually play here and be able to, do the things that I wanted to do. And, my parents told me, they kept saying to me, they don't just recruit anybody.
Now come get him. Come on, come on. Good. Don't let him in. Don't let him in. Don't let him in. Good. Good. Good D. I don't think we've ever had a freshman come in and be as aware and as perceptive and pick things up and immediately grasp the concept of what we're doing and what needs to be done, like Kia Nurse has. She's at a different level than everybody else, and rightly so. If she wasn't, I would be disappointed. You can't spend 6 months with the Canadian national team and playing with 30-year-olds and then come here and play with 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds and not stand out.
Kia Nurse, that looked good right off her hand, didn't it?
After 6 games this season, Nurse was third on the team in scoring, averaging just under 14 points a game. But it was her overall intensity on both ends of the courts that landed her in the starting lineup just 4 games into her college career.
There's pressure in the backcourt, and Nurse gets a steal. Jefferson takes off to the basket. Turnovers in the points for UConn.
I think defense is just who you are. It's either in you or it's not. And it's important to her to be a great defender. She takes it very seriously, and it's effort and it's heart. You know, it's all the things that people say. We can't make her a great defender. We can show her different things, but she's come in here with just a desire to be that. But it's great to have that in a bigger guard. Mariah's smaller, so there are limitations sometimes to who she can defend. And now we have Kia, who's big and strong. So those two are going to be tough in the backcourt.
John to Nurse. Nurse for three. A new career high for Kia Nurse.
When you look at Kia, she's kind of fearless, you know, so I think that helps to cover up a lot of things that she does because she goes so hard and commits herself to what she's doing.
UConn wants to run. Nurse drives all the way, and the foul.
In terms of being ready to contribute and to do some things, she's pretty far ahead of most of the freshmen that we've had.
High praise from the Hall of Famer when it comes to Kia Nurse. And when you look at the numbers on her assist-to-turnover ratio on the season, 2.3, that is the best in the American, not just amongst freshmen, but amongst all players. Has she, and Gino said he thought she was going to do great things, has she exceeded your expectations?
I don't know about exceeded because I also had high expectations for her coming in. I told you early on, Sean was in camp and everyone was raving about her, and I said, watch out, Kia Nurse is coming after your spot, and she sure did. I expected a lot too, just like Gino did. When you play with the national team, I know, I had that experience. I was the youngest player ever to play on a U.S. World Championship team. So at 17 years old, you're learning a lot from the best in the world, and she obviously took it to heart. The thing I liked about her the first time I met her, she has an attitude. She has a swagger about her already as a freshman. She's a tough cookie. She doesn't hesitate to go in there, and one of their best defenders. And like you heard Shea Ralph saying, that attitude, you can't teach that kind of attitude, and she has that.
All right, we're getting set for UConn and SMU coming up just about 8.5 minutes from now. Hailing from Glen Heights, Texas, just outside of Dallas, Mariah Jefferson getting set for a homecoming game against the Mustangs. We're back in just a moment. UConn, as they often do, they've got a tough non-conference schedule this year. Gino Auriemma recently sitting down with Kareth on the Gino Auriemma Show to talk about scheduling games outside of the American.
I kind of laugh about it sometimes. Like, Doug Bruno has a great perspective on things. He says, look, we've never beaten Connecticut. But if I stop playing them, we're never going to get a chance to beat them.
Okay.
To me, that's the right attitude. That's a mature way to do about it, to go about it.
But if you've beat Duke, for example, 8 out of 8 times, maybe they don't want to get.
Well, that's fine. We've beaten DePaul the same way.
But DePaul has a better attitude.
One coach chooses to look at it one way, another coach chooses to look at it a different way. Look, nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head. You don't have to. You don't have to play them. Just, you know, when we're recruiting kids, we'll just ask them, hey, do you guys play Connecticut? Nah, we don't. You know, why not? Well, we don't want to. Because they've beaten us 8 times in a row. I mean, you're going to have to answer that question, not me.
And you can see more of that interview on the Gino Auriemma Show on Wednesday after our post-game coverage of UConn's game against Temple. So what about the way they schedule, and how important to schedule the way they do, go outside and play the best in the business?
Real important, because unfortunately their conference is not very strong, and that's not UConn's fault. When the Big East kind of, you know, left and they were trying, nobody wanted them in their conference. So they have to build this conference, and it's really important that they play the schedule they do. I absolutely agree with Gino. How is Duke going to not play them anymore because they keep getting beat? How are you going to get better as a team if you don't play the best? So he does a terrific job. He doesn't have any cupcake schedule, that's for sure. He plays as many games as he can against the best teams. That's what's going to get you ready come tournament time.
You and I looked at that when Duke said they were going to schedule and cycle out Connecticut because of the lack of success they've had. We shook our heads, and what message is that sending to your players and your prospective players.
It's awful.
I mean,
like Gino said, I mean, you're never going to beat Connecticut if you don't keep playing Connecticut, and you want to play as a recruit. If someone says, hey, we play Connecticut constantly, that's pretty cool. I want to go there, but horrible decision.
I would think so. So we're just about set for UConn and SMU. When we come back, I want to get Kara's keys to the game. It's all ahead in just a moment. We get a look at today's starting lineup for Connecticut. No changes for the Huskies. Nurse and Jefferson, Tuck Stewart, and Khalida Mosqueda-Lewis. 12th consecutive game UConn has used the same starting lineup. Time now, and we always await these patiently. Kara's keys to the game. I love that graphic.
Well, I think what's important is exploiting SMU's youth. They're the youngest team in the conference, and by that, they had 20 steals and 41 points off of turnovers in the last game. They need to continue to do that same thing. And then quality bench minutes, really important. That's what Gino's looking for that bench to bring a lot when they get in the game, and I think they'll get some minutes to prove that. And defending the on-ball screens. It's the one thing that SMU does, sets a lot of on-ball screens, and defending those is going to be key.
UConn has won a dozen consecutive games. SMU has struggled. They have lost 7 straight as they get ready to take on the two-time defending national champions. UConn coming in 13-1 on the season, 3-0 in the conference. SMU 4-10 on the year, 0-3 in the conference. Eric Freed, Meg Colmo, Kareth Burke on the call. Kara and I going to see you back at halftime. Enjoy the game.
All eyes are on Texas. For most, they're thinking football, but we're thinking basketball. The second-ranked Huskies are in Dallas for an American matchup with SMU. It's now on SNY. On the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas, we welcome you to UConn women's basketball on SNY. The second-ranked Huskies taking on the Mustangs. Second meeting this season between these two teams. On December 27th at the XL Center, Kia Nurse got UConn going. They led 49-16 at halftime. Khalida Mosqueda-Lewis had 19 points, and the defense was there for UConn, led by Brianna Stewart. 10 blocks in all for UConn as a team against the Mustangs. And the top scorer, Mariah Jefferson, 24 points, a career high, a start of a pretty good run for her. 96-45 the final. UConn over SMU. As we welcome you courtside here at Moody Coliseum. I'm Eric Freed, to be joined in just a couple of minutes by Megan Colmo. And for Mariah Jefferson, she came home during the Christmas break for a couple of days, clear her head, recharge the batteries, and since that time, since going back to work at UConn, she has been off the charts good. Take a look at her numbers. Brought to you by Toyota, averaging a little bit better than 19 points a game. But the shooting, she's missed just 12 of her last 49 shots, including just 3 of her last 16 threes. Here's her head coach after the win Wednesday over Tulsa.
I don't think there's any particular adjustment physically with her shooting the ball. I think probably mentally the adjustment has been to wanting to shoot it and having confidence in shooting it. You know, that's for a shooter. Once you know you can make them, then it's just having the confidence to take the shot and not should I not, and then not worrying about if you just missed the last one. You know, so if you miss 2 in a row, well, I'm not going to shoot anymore. So if you just stay away from those kinds of thoughts, and you're a pretty good shooter like she is, and right now her confidence is sky high.
Joined now by Meg. The confidence count from Gino right there was 3. So that seems to be the key word when talking about how Mariah has elevated her game.
Yeah, and you know, you often hear players say, well, my coach doesn't have confidence, or, you know, trying to get that confidence from your coaching staff or your teammates. No way. It's got to come from within. And you can tell Mariah feels so good about her game. She's in complete command. When that ball leaves her hand, she knows it's going in, whether it's a layup or it's a 3. And she is such a leader out there right now. She has really taken over the reins of this club, and this team is now hers. And They are looking really, really good.
And this crowd will be hers here today. She's about 20 minutes from home here, so you hear a lot of Mariah support here this afternoon in Dallas. A lot of support from Breanna Stewart in different ways in that win against Tulsa. It's not all about the scoring for her right now. It's finding other ways to contribute to this team.
Absolutely. Now, is Breanna Stewart capable of scoring 30 a game? Absolutely. Does she need to? No. This kid is so unselfish. She has become such an outstanding passer, particularly from that high post. She gets the ball, and she's automatically looking. Here, Morgan Tuck, the recipient. Stewart really making herself a well-rounded, complete player. And she's a competitor. She wants the best. She doesn't just want to score. She wants to be the best player she can be. Look at that, 8 assists against Tulsa.
It is the second meeting in 4 games between SMU and UConn. The Huskies go for their 13th win in a row. You'll see Morgan Tuck and KML and Kia Nurse starting lineups and opening tip next on SNY. UConn women's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts Dark Roast is here. Bold start, smooth finish, never bitter. America runs on Dunkin'. By Connecticut Lighting Centers and Restoration Lighting Gallery, so much more than just a lighting store. And by Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Choose Nissan.com. Single game tickets for the defending national champion UConn women and men's basketball teams are now on sale. Go to UConnTickets.com to get in on all the action as the women come to Dallas, where the men won the national championship back in April at the gigantic AT&T Stadium. There's some kind of game going on there tomorrow. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. Gino Auriemma looking for a career win number 893 as he brings his team here to Dallas today. And Ronda Rampola's team struggling. They've lost 7 in a row. They are 0-3 in conference play and 4-10 overall. Archer before the game, once again, the youngest team in the American Conference and learning some hard lessons. Subaru brings us the starting lineups with Mariah Jefferson, Kia Nurse, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, Breanna Stewart, and Morgan Tuck. Kiera Perry, Morgan Bolton, Raven Short getting her 3rd start of the season, and the Froling twins, Alicia and Keeley. And remember, we've got our eyes on Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, entering today tied for #1 on the all-time list at UConn for 3-pointers made. The reason why Raven Short is making just her 1st start since game 2 of the season is Destiny Hives McCray, the leading rebounder for SMU, has been suspended for a violation of team rules. UConn wins the tip, their first possession in their road blue. Mariah Jefferson drives the lane, couldn't finish. Tipped by Breanna Stewart. You're seeing something about doing a lot of the little things to help this team.
Yeah, active on the offensive glass. Couldn't get that shot to go down, but Morgan Tuck all over the glass.
Well, they've had 3 shots and a foul called on Mosqueda-Lewis.
Just couldn't get the ball to drop there. You know, that could have been offensive there. A little push off with the right arm.
And then a 5-second violation called on Rapola's team. They turn the ball over on average 22 times a game. See if they try to get Mosqueda-Lewis in the early going here. Tuck the feed to Stewart. Inside, outside. Raven Short the rebound.
Breanna Stewart so good at kicking it from that low post out to the corner. I think that kid really loves to pass the basketball.
Short back out to Alicia Froling, leading scorer on this team at 11 points a game. Leading active rebounder at 7 a game. Tried to feed it inside to Short. Shot clock down to 2, grabbed by Tuck, and here come the Huskies. Stewart in rhythm, knocks down the 3. Probably could have gotten a shot at the free throw line as she came down.
Yeah, Short.
She was bumped, yeah.
Pushed her, boxed her out. She went into the front row of fans. They had to catch her. And she talked to the official as she ran by, like, yo, what's going on here?
Traveling violation, turnover SMU. Stewart averaging 16.5 points a game to lead UConn, shooting 34% from outside the line.
And I'm convinced the more you try to set your teammates up to score, the more you end up scoring yourself, and that's what's going to happen with Stewart.
Morgan Tuck left open. Keely Froling the rebound. Jefferson gambled on the steal. Kiera Perry to Bolton. Couldn't get it. There's Perry on the offensive glass.
Good hustle by SMU and track down that offensive board. Think about how young this team is, and they have a junior. Nice take.
Alicia Froling had 7 in the first meeting against UConn. She gets SMU on the board.
But to have Hives McCray suspended on Friday, a junior on already a really young team.
Foul on Raven Short, fighting against Brianna Stewart inside.
Well, here the nice take. The freshman from Australia takes it hard to the basket.
Well, you can tell the Australian kids because they like to hike the bottoms of their shorts up. They've got 3 of them here on the roster, the Froling twins, and now Stephanie Collins, another Aussie, is checked in. I like the short look. Oh, Kia Nurse with a blow by, but good help by SMU.
Yeah, nice job by Alicia's twin, Keely, coming over to help from the weak side.
Got it ripped out of her hands. It will remain SMU basketball. SMU last time out lost to Houston 63-45. That was last Saturday. They've had a week to work here, and Rhonda Rampolla thought that was really important for this young team, just to get some practice time.
Yeah, especially as they turn it over here, especially for Stephanie Collins to get involved in the offense.
Tuck couldn't finish it. Last touch by Stewart, and it'll be SMU basketball. A little sloppy start here for each side. UConn 1 of 8 from the field so far here in Dallas. Keely Froling, the feed to Collins, who hesitated and couldn't finish.
That hesitation is what the problem was. She wasn't confident.
Here it is. Number 1 at UConn. Three-pointer number 319 for the senior from California. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, sole possession of the top spot. Sorry, Diana, you're number 2.
Yeah.
Not number 2 in many things, mind you.
Taurasi wasn't too thrilled to give up the top spot, but I'll tell you what. Mosqueda-Lewis, it's like an art form the way she shoots that ball.
Good strong take by Brianna Stewart. She has 5, and after the 1-for-8 start, Huskies have made back-to-back field goals. Perry defended by Jefferson. Froling. See how UConn brought some help there, and now Jefferson. Jefferson, oh, nice little shake and bake, just would not go down. It'll be SMU basketball when we come back to Dallas. UConn on top by 6. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis now with 319 career three-pointers. An elite shooter taking her spot all alone at the top of UConn's all-time list. 15:27 to go in the first half. UConn is up. Welcome back to the 4th meeting all time between SMU and UConn. UConn 3-0 in the series, and the big story here so far, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, 319 career three-pointers.
That's when all those mornings of getting up before school, their stepdad going to shoot 500 shots a day. This is what you work for. The kid has worked really, really hard and continues to do so.
Shot clock did not start, so that's the reason for the stoppage. Well, UConn fans will remember Diana Taurasi's last three-pointer. came April 6, 2004, championship game against Tennessee. She made 3 that game in UConn's 70-61 win for Taurasi and the UConn program's 3rd title in a row. And, well, if things work out this year, the season could end that way for KML with a 3rd consecutive national title.
Yeah, and Kalina said, you know, she's honored just to be mentioned in the same breath as Diana Taurasi. But Kalina is thrilled to be now #1, and I don't know if anyone's going to come near that record for a while.
No, unless you come out of retirement. Trying to fix the shot clock now down, got it to 22. They're ready to restart things here at Moody Coliseum. Still has that new arena smell. Opened last year, 7,000 seat building, a lot of UConn fans, as you can well imagine here today. Fantastic on-campus venue here for the Mustang men's and women's basketball programs. Foul called on Stewart, giving up a little size to Stephanie Collins.
Well, good work in there by Collins. Now that pass is better coming from the wing, and Stewart's like, what? But I like the isolation down there.
First personal, I'm sorry, Meg. First personal on Stewart. And Perry in travel. Turnover number 5 already for the Mustangs. Rampola's team was up 7 at halftime in that game against Houston last time out. Houston closed the game on a 34-7 scoring run to pick up the win.
A lot of teaching this year Rampola's got to do. Got 3 kids from Australia, the youngest team she's had. They just had to suspend somebody, but she's doing things the right way.
Kia Nurse ducks under the 6'5" Collins for her first 2 points.
Nice job by the freshman Nurse to use her quickness to get past the bigger Collins.
UConn really dialing up the defensive pressure, and a timeout called here by SMU.
Well, this kid just goes to the basket. It's like a homing device. She just instinctively gets there.
Well, the thing, too, about her is we've seen a lot this year. She loves to use little head fake, little shot fake, little pass fake, anything to get that first step. And she's obviously a tremendous athlete, that she's got the speed and the quickness. We just saw it on that drive to get to the basket, which she loves to do.
Right, and we've seen her shoot the ball better from long range in recent games, and that's, you know, the defense is going to say, okay, pick our poison with her. Do we take away the 3, take away the long-range shot? You know, if I'm the defender, I'm staying off of her and making her shoot that, because she just loves to drive to the hoop.
There you see the vitals on Kia Nurse, having an outstanding freshman year, averaging almost 13 points a game, 4th on the team in scoring. The 5 starters for UConn all averaging double figures on the season. 15 points, 4 assists, 3 for 3 from outside the 3-point line in the win against Tulsa last time out. UConn won at 98-60 on Wednesday night. Shot clock down to 6 for the Mustangs. Gabrielle Wilkins into the game for SMU. Mosqueda Lewis, Nurse, Stewart, 6 minutes in to this matchup in Dallas. Morgan Tuck backs in. Another one rolls off the rim.
Boy, they've had a lot of easy looks.
Now 4 of 13 from the floor. Perry with the pull-up, knowing Stewart was coming. Last touch by SMU, UConn ball.
Yeah, UConn getting the shots they want, they just can't get them to drop right now. And you're going to have that, Eric, and as you know, especially on the road, the way you're going to have to gut these wins out on the road is you got to play defense and you got to rebound.
The feed into Brianna Stewart. So good with the left hand and the right hand. She has 7. It would appear to be one of those games where she's going to score a little bit
I
today.
think so. I think so. Well, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to Mariah Jefferson for making that pass exactly where it needed to be.
And Morgan Tuck's going to get whistled for the foul.
See, the defense is on the high side, so she throws it to the right outstretched hand on the low side. See, coming in right there, and the quick spin and the baby hook, that's unstoppable.
Kia Stokes comes into the game for UConn as Morgan Tuck goes to the bench. SMU 1 of 7 from the field so far. And Mustangs turn the ball over again. Michaela Reese, freshman from Colorado Springs, into the game. So UConn will bring it up. They're on top 12-2 here in Dallas. Turnovers, an issue, to say the least. Double figures already for Brianna Stewart. She knocks down the three-pointer. She has 10 of UConn's 15 points.
All that talk we did about not shooting, but you know, she's taking the right shots. She's active.
Tried to get a steal, could not. Mariah Jefferson has it. Look who's taking off ahead of the field. It's Stewart who will lay it in for 2 more. I thought it was really good analysis from you in the pregame, talking about she doesn't have to score. She can dish and she can rebound. She blocks some shots, but you know what?
The exact opposite is happening here, right? Well, you know, she's taken the game. She's taking what's coming to her, and she's creating the offense. And when you're unselfish, good things happen to you. And you work hard, and you try to get your teammates open. You try to get them involved. That's when things usually come back. A little karma.
But your larger point was she could do what we're seeing right here. She could score 20 points a game if she wanted to. She's that good. But if this team is going to have success in April, all the pieces have to fit the right way. And with her sharing the basketball, getting rebounds, getting blocks, and scoring, that's when they're at their best.
There's no question about it. And, you know, she is such a great threat to score. But yet she is such a tremendous passer as well. It just is going to make it increasingly more difficult for teams to guard them, because we've talked to coaches the last 2 weeks. They don't know how to stop these guys.
Keely Foley. Jefferson almost got the steal. 5 on the shot clock. Wilkins has to hoist it up. Did catch iron, and it was last touched by Raven Short. It's UConn basketball. Up top, it's Stewart. Michaela Lewis, an open look for Mariah Jefferson. When you are hot, you are hot.
And you're taking good shots within the flow of the offense. Nice little pick and roll on the opposite side between Michaela Lewis and Stewart. They command so much attention. Mariah Jefferson wide open on the opposite wing.
Jefferson is now 14 of her last 17 over a 6-game run from outside the three-point line. And foul called on SMU right in front of the UConn bench. So the Huskies will take over when we come back. And Brianna Stewart, she's been in control here in the early going, as are the Huskies. A lot of UConn fans here in Dallas, and they've been entertained so far with UConn rolling. Time for Como's Court Vision. Take us inside the game, man.
Well, we talk so much about their offense. Check out the blue jerseys here. UConn on defense. This is coming out of a timeout. Such pressure defense. Always someone on the ball. But then taking away passing lanes. There's nowhere for SMU to go. Tuck helping out a little bit there on Nurse's player. Always good pressure on the ball. There's never an easy, clean look for SMU, and then they're forced to take a bad shot as the shot clock is expiring. Gino Auriemma has worked so hard this season, along with the rest of his coaching staff, to get this team to be better defensively. Wasn't happy with the defense they played against Stanford, and they've worked at it, and boy, has it made a huge difference.
You can see the big difference in shooting for UConn after the slow start. Brianna Stewart is 5 of 6 from the field for her 12 points. Michaela Lewis for 2.
19-0 run. Huskies just in control.
could not force the 8th turnover for SMU. Not done yet in this possession, though. Raven Short will get a shot off. Stewart went for a tumble. I don't know if she tripped over a teammate. Limping a little bit, but it looks to be okay. And a foul called on Raven Short.
Because Raven Short thought, I can't give up a 3. And that's why she went running at a really good decision by Stewart to not take that shot and draw the foul instead.
3rd team foul on SMU. Taylor Brame, freshman from Chicago, comes in the game for SMU. Still just the 1 substitution for the Huskies. And a foul called as Stewart was tied up, trying to make a cut towards the basket. And it was Brame who just came into the game. Jefferson throws it into space. To the basket, a little too strong. Bolton off to Wilkins. Scoring drought continues for SMU. Stewart did half a split to try to keep that basketball alive. Kia Nurse. And a blocking foul called on SMU will send Kia Nurse to the free throw line to shoot 2.
The recognition by Nurse is really fun to watch. She knows that there's no help behind Perry, and all she's got to do is just get her foot side by side and she can blow right by her. Those are the instincts in Kia Nurse. She feels that she can drive by anybody to get to the hoop. That's supreme confidence, especially for a freshman.
Gabby Wilkins is the 2nd player off the bench for UConn. And Gabby Williams.
I think you're thinking of Dominique.
No, I'm thinking of Gabrielle Wilkins for SMU. My first day on the job here with you, so. Gabby Williams. There's the other Gabby Wilkins on the drive. Knocked out of bounds by UConn. SMU ball, 17 to shoot. Just inside of 10 minutes to go here in the first half. It's been all UConn in this game.
And their attention to detail defensively, as we see a little lack of communication. They figured it out.
Now that is an adjustment of a shot that you normally don't have to make. Look at UConn on the run out. Thrown up by Mariah Jefferson, but turned over by UConn.
Yeah, good hustle by SMU to get back.
Perry on the pull-up. Froling puts it back up and in. Alicia Froling ends the long drought for SMU.
Nice aggressive rebound. And that European step through.
It was an 8-minute and 10-second scoring drought. There's Stewart. 2 more for Brianna Stewart, now with 14 points. And a foul on UConn. It's going to be on Mosqueda Lewis.
Well, Stewart catches the ball. Knew that her guy had gambled for the steal and lost, so just went right to the basket. Great aggressive take.
Stewart goes to the bench, as does Kalinda Mosqueda Lewis. Morgan Tuck back into the game, and Sanaya Chong checking in for the first time. So resetting it for UConn, it's Chong, Jefferson, Nurse who gets the steal, Tuck and Williams. Jefferson to Williams.
Well, tremendous half-court defense there, and Nurse keeping her eye on the ball, good team defense, and then just a perfect fast break.
Rolling and Tuck. I think it was snapped between the legs. It's a little tip of the hat to Tony Romo as Williams back to the basket for 2 more. (30-4) Huskies. Wilkins about to turn it over, but she was fouled. Let's take it back to the previous bucket.
Well, there, the good help defense by Nurse, and then his blue jersey's just out to the races. And Jefferson, the nice pass to Williams with the left-handed finish.
Well, Mariah Jefferson goes to the bench, and she already has 8 assists in 12 minutes of play. Off the window for 2. There is the junior from Garland, Texas. Didn't score in the first meeting with UConn.
We talk so much about Jefferson's scoring, but my gosh, 8 assists already in 12 minutes.
Tuck was fouled on Collins, who protests. Mariah's career high in assists is 12. She's done an outstanding job taking care of the basketball, too. We talked a lot about her scoring, but 32 assists and just 11 turnovers in the last 7 games. Running the point very well and scoring from that position as well.
And so much, as we've talked quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, of her decision-making, knowing when to and when not to. And when you're making the right decisions, you don't turn the ball over. And she's just making spectacular decisions at this point of the season.
And you can see, just sitting on the bench, trying to catch her breath, always working hard on both ends of the floor. 1 of 2 for Tuck. She's on the score sheet. UConn brings the pressure into the backcourt. And a turnover. Nurse knocked it into the hands of Sanaya Chong for 2. Keely Froling. You can see, too, UConn makes you do things so much quicker than you want to. Yeah, you know, I got to get the shot off. There's a traveling violation on Oregon Tuck. They have that effect on many teams. On the beautiful campus here at SMU, timeout on the floor with UConn up big. UConn went on a 21-0 run to stretch a big lead out here in the first half. Right now they're on top by 27 as we check in with Kareth Burke, whose report is brought to you by Buick. Hello, Kareth.
Hi, Eric. I was able to check in with Sanaya Chong, who's playing about 20 minutes a game, but sometimes it really feels like those are quiet minutes. Sanaya shared some self-critiques with me. She said she's been overthinking her game, playing passively, and she's been a little afraid to make mistakes lately. What she wants to change is her perspective of those mistakes. She knows there's going to happen, so she just wants to recover better. One of the players she's leaning on for guidance has been Mariah Jefferson. So when Sanaya is overthinking things, Mariah is the one who calms her down. And in practice, the two of them break off to discuss how a point guard should play defense, like where Sanaya should position her body to frustrate her opponent. So Sanaya has been stepping up her defense, and she's happy that she feels more involved this season. She's feeling better about making plays for her teammates, herself, and driving and kicking. Eric?
Thank you, Kareth. So another assist for Mariah. She already has 8, but we'll give her 1 more for how she's helped out Sanaya here. But it's an important time here. Here we are at the midpoint of the season, and after a real good-looking preseason, Sanaya was someone who we thought would take a big step forward this year. But as Kareth just mentioned, trying to find her game a little bit and maybe kind of clear your head a little is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's between the ears that is the biggest problem, because she's certainly got the abilities as Stewart is long on that jumper. You know, that's where you need your teammates to kind of help out. But you saw what Mariah Jefferson has done. You know what? Just go out and play. Brianna Stewart trying to set up things for her teammates. If Sanaya Chong is smart, just play good defense, worry about setting up her teammates, and her offense will come.
Miskena Lewis hands it off to Stewart. 2 more for Brianna Stewart. Stewart is now 7 of 9 from the field. 16 points for the junior. Chong, Williams, Stewart, Miskena Lewis, Tuck, the 5 on the floor right now for UConn. They've won 12 in a row. Perry couldn't hit. Offensive rebound for SMU and a second chance here for the Mustangs.
Yeah, good hustle by Keely Froling to keep that possession alive on the offensive boards.
Perry blocked by Stewart.
And Stewart's trying to say it went off of Perry. She goes up, times it perfectly.
Maybe right.
I think she's right.
28 blocks now this season for Stewart, second on the team. Kia Stokes with 53 blocks leading UConn. That's good for 6th in the country, by the way. Williams hangs in the air for the rebound. And now Sanaya Chong running the floor. Tough pass for Stewart to handle, but she does gather it in. Gabby Williams. Ooh, nice little duck under move by the freshman.
Really good recognition that she was one-on-one. There was no weak side help.
5.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Gabrielle Wilkins showing no fear. Can't get that to go, and Williams with the rebound. Chong to Mosqueda Lewis. Another three-pointer for KML. She now has 8 points. She has passed Stephanie Dolson and now is 12th on the all-time scoring list at UConn.
Quite a day. She passed Tarazi in three-pointers, passed Dolson in career points.
Wilkins. Another miss and another rebound for Williams. Sanaya Chong's three-pointer is good. A little bit of a confidence boost there. 5 quick points for Chong. Scored just 2 in the last 2 games combined.
Chong so quick on the floor.
Morgan Tuck's going to get whistled for her second personal foul as we take you to today's drive of the game presented by Ford.
You see, there's just no way Alicia Froling could stay with her. At 6'3", just too tall. And Williams did a nice job of getting by her.
Williams goes to the bench. 6 points in 6 minutes and 5 rebounds in 6 minutes. I'd say that's a pretty efficient contribution off the bench, but you're the expert. Courtney Eckmark is into the game for the first time. Defending Wilkins. Wilkins will try again, and a foul is going to be called. That's going to be 3 on Morgan Tuck, I believe. Yeah, that's number 3 on Morgan.
She's had a couple silly fouls here this afternoon. There goes to help and contest, and she bumped her. She did. What happened was Eckmark got beat, helped defense. You step up.
So Tuck will go to the bench. Morgan 0 for 4 from the field, 3 fouls in her 11 minutes. She came into the game making 2/3 of her field goals over the last 5 games. Tapped out of bounds by SMU. It's UConn ball. So Morgan's been outstanding over this run for UConn that they've run off 12 wins in a row, but a little bit of a bump in the road here in Dallas so far for the redshirt sophomore. Mariah Jefferson into the game. On the shot clock. Back outside to Mosqueda Lewis. Good job by SMU. Keely Froling was there defensively. And Mustangs will take over.
Well, that whole offensive sequence, as you see Gino shaking his head, it was troublesome to start. Chong missed Mosqueda Lewis earlier. Mosqueda Lewis wanted the ball. Chong couldn't give it to her, and then it just never really looked right. Even when Mosqueda Lewis missed that shot, she tapped herself in the chest like, that was my fault. That was a bad shot.
Ball was tipped into the backcourt. And a traveling violation. Turnover here at Southern Methodist University, home of the George W. Bush Presidential Center and Institute. 3:38 to go. UConn up on SMU. UConn women's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Yale New Haven Children's Hospital. By Honda. Why settle for less than a Honda? Get to your Connecticut Honda dealer today. And by Town Fair Tire. Town Fair Tire supports UConn basketball. Go Huskies. We will go to the studio at halftime. Gary Apple and Kara Walters will have the highlights and analysis. Plus, you'll hear from assistant coach Shay Ralph on developing team leaders on the UConn women's basketball halftime show. That's coming up in just a few minutes. SMU is 3 of 23 from the field against UConn's defense, which has been suffocating here in the first half.
Well, and they're 0 for 7 from behind the three-point line. The Huskies have done a really good job of not giving them any clean looks from three-point range.
The feed inside to Mosqueda Lewis. Tries to work on the inside, can't get it. And Wilkins comes away. Rolling. Batted out of bounds by Connecticut. Lead is 36. Huskies have led by 37. Wilkins couldn't hit. She has not been shy. She's now 1 of 8 from the field. Chong. Stewart with the rebound for the Huskies. Mariah Jefferson with 8 assists and no turnovers so far for UConn. That's knocked out of bounds by SMU. Kia Stokes will come into the game for Mosqueda Lewis. So Stewart and Stokes together on the floor right now with Chong, Ekmark, and Jefferson. Stokes, oh, what a pass by Stewart, but a 3-second violation is called by Stokes.
She was working really hard in there. It's too bad they couldn't get the ball in there quicker. They struggle to get the ball inside to their post players sometimes. Sometimes it's just a matter of the timing, getting the ball out to the wing and dumping it in. They've got to work on that.
Just the 3rd turnover for UConn. SMU has turned the ball over 12 times here in the first half. 2.5 minutes to go. Again, shot clock down to single digits. That did not catch iron, so no reset here. That did not catch iron, and it's grabbed by Stewart. Chong, Stokes, no trouble feeding the post that time.
Yeah, really nice pass from Chong, and Stokes did a good job to get herself open.
First points for Kia Stokes, averaging 5 a game to go along with a team best 8 rebounds a game. Rolling shot is off, and it's Sanaya Chong with it.
It's a good time for Chong to work on her game, get her confidence back.
It's true for Courtney Ekmark. Can't hit after making a couple of threes last time out against Tulsa.
They're better served to run offense and get a 3 within the context of the offense as opposed to making one pass and jacking it up.
UConn's defense 3rd in the country when you talk about field goal percentage defense at 33%. SMU's at 13% and heading down. Jefferson. 3-pointer, step back 2, drive to the basket.
Whatever.
Whatever you need, she's got it. Five points for Mariah. Perry's 3. SMU might come down inside of 10%. And a traveling violation called on Ekmark. Take you back to that pass by Sanaya Chong.
Well, sometimes their timing has been a little funky. Here it was perfect. Defender was on the high side, and Chong did a really good job of passing it away from the defense. So all Stokes had to do was catch it and score.
Turning inside for 2 is Alicia Froling. She has 6 to pace SMU. Shot clock is turned off. UConn can hold for one final shot here. "15 seconds to go before halftime. Stokes had it knocked out of her hands. No, they say she touched it last, so SMU will have a chance to get it to double digits here before halftime. Three seconds, 2 seconds, and they will not get the double figures. And Stewart will not add to the score sheet. And well, we got some EMTs on the building. She took out our cameraman, but our guys take charges here.
That's right,
we got them Texas tough. Well, what more can you say about the first half for UConn? As the Huskies rolling and rolling over, but not all the way down. Oh, it wasn't one of our guys. Oh, it was one of their guys. Well, we care about everybody. We care about what Gino has to say. He's standing by with Karen.
Well, Gino, your team played the first 10 minutes of this game without a turnover, only 5 turnovers at the break. What did you like about your team's crisp play?
I think we're attacking rather quickly, and that's kind of when we're at our best. You know, sometimes I say that when we pass the ball way too many times, we're just working towards the open turnover. You know, we're just the longer we go, we pass up a lot of good shots. So I don't think we passed up a lot of good shots in the first half. And usually when you do that, the ball's being moved really well, and that's really great.
Thank you, Gino. Gino, pleased with how the Huskies are moving the ball. Brianna Stewart, great start to the game. Mariah Jefferson, great start to the game in this homecoming feel here in Dallas. UConn has the lead here. We're going to have...
Gary Apple, Carol Walters back inside our New York studios. All Connecticut in that first half. They lead 47-9 at the break. Do not adjust your sets on that. Connecticut led by Brianna Stewart. We spoke on our pregame broadcast about getting her going. She had 16 points. She got going early and often.
Well, and you just felt it in her, Gary. I mean, she was just offensive minded. She must have heard us talking about her because from the get-go, she was on it. She was scoring from the outside, the inside, penetrating to the basket. She just was very offensive minded today. And I think you could tell, Gino said, make a concerted effort to offensively go after it.
Made 7 of her 9 shots, also had 7 rebounds, 3 block shots in that first half, and didn't take long for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis to get the record. Needed 1 to pass Diana Taurasi. She had 2 in the first half.
She did, and just confident. She looked real confident. I mean, that was from way downtown. She didn't even hesitate. You could tell they wanted to get the ball in her hands in transition. That's where Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis gets her threes in transition.
UConn as a team shot 6 of 10 from downtown, 56% from the floor in that first half. SMU shot just 4 of 31. Therefore, the discrepancy of 47-9. Not done yet here on our halftime broadcast. When we come back, being an upperclassman doesn't necessarily mean being a leader. UConn assistant coach Shay Ralph shares her take on developing team leaders. Kara and I, we're back in a moment. Welcome back. Dunkin' Donuts brings us bold finish. Bold start, smooth finish. Brianna Stewart led the Huskies in the first half, and with leadership in mind, assistant coach Shay Ralph shares the team's strategy now on developing team leaders.
With leadership, it's a natural emergence, whether that's by example or by communication or by being a great teammate. People start to gravitate towards what they want and what they're comfortable with. When you start to try to make somebody do something they don't want, it usually doesn't work. And that's probably not just with basketball.
Morgan Tuck has been a huge leader on this team so far this year. She's just got just 1 point in that first half. Last couple of games, she's got a combined 44 points. Does it just show you how many different ways Connecticut can beat you?
Absolutely, and I think the goal in the second half is to get Morgan involved because Morgan was also in foul trouble in the first half, and Mariah just with 5 points. So yes, they have a lot of different weapons, but I think Gina would like to see Mariah and Morgan get involved more in the second half.
So many times it's Connecticut against themselves. We're seeing that again here today as they lead big at the half, 47-9. So Kara and I going to see you back on the post-game show right now. We'll head for break. On the other side of that break, it's Meg and Eric and Kareth with all the second half action from deep in the heart of Texas.
UConn women's basketball on SNY is brought to you by DeGiorgi Roofing and Siding. By Subaru of New England. Love, it's what makes a Subaru. And by Samuel Adams. Be sure to check out the UConn men's ice hockey team. Another big win for the Huskies last night at the XL Center. They knocked off 5th-ranked UMass Lowell. You can be part of the action and excitement at the XL Center this year by going to UConnTickets.com. First half stats are brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. SMU 4 of 31 from the field in the first half, 0 of 8 from outside the three-point line. UConn 13 assists on 19 field goals. Brianna Stewart leading the way with 16 points and 7 rebounds. Mariah Jefferson had 8 assists in the first half and no turnovers. Eric and Meg back with you here courtside in Dallas Well, Brianna Stewart, when she wants to, she can pile up the points, and we saw that in the first half.
Well, it's just her decision-making is so good. She's in the flow of the game and of the offense, and she's taking what the defense is giving her. And, you know, there's absolutely no limit to what she can do. She can get you from long range. She can get to the basket. She runs the floor exceptionally well for a 6'4" post player. She works hard in the lane. Is getting better at getting bumped and finishing inside. There's just no way to defend Stewart because there's just so many things that she does well.
Stewart, 7 of 9 from the field in the first half. 4 of those 16 points was 2 of 2 from outside the three-point line. 8 points for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis. For more, let's check in with Karen.
Guys, I had a chance to talk to SMU coach Rhonda Rumpola as she came back on the court. Her message for the team at halftime was, you cannot look at the scoreboard at this time, but this is where her team needs to learn what kind of fight and what kind of pride they have. This is where they can see what they're made of and see how they can advance to the next level. She wants her team to be better ball handlers. She needs her team to learn how to do better against the press, and it's going to be getting back to the fundamentals for them, starting with defense as we start the second half. Eric?
Anywhere you look, the numbers not good for SMU in that first half as they turned the ball over 13 times, leading to 13 UConn points. But one thing that you can't tell your team is don't look at the scoreboard. On the flip side, that is one thing we know from watching UConn through the years. They never look at the scoreboard. If you're on the floor, you're going to play hard. Now, I would assume we'll start to see some bench players come in for a little extended time, but to start the second half, it's the original starting 5 on the floor. And there are areas for UConn to work on. I'm sure Morgan Tuck came out of the locker room looking forward to turning the page.
Yeah, she wants this second 20 to be a little bit more productive than the first 20, just personally. And I trust that Morgan Tuck will make that happen. She's too much of a competitor.
Tuck was 0 for 4 from the field, had 3 fouls in the first half, just 1 point. Feed into Stewart, who is fouled.
I like the focus by that offensive possession to let Stewart post up and fire the ball into her.
A couple of free throws coming up for Brianna Stewart. Her season high 26 against East Carolina. 80% from the free throw line on the season. Somebody, I think it was Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, had a little line for her. Made her laugh at least. 1 of 2 for Stewart. Short feed inside to Froling, back out for Perry. Froling had a good look, just wouldn't go down. Good save by Nurse, takes out a cameraman. Photographer this time. Cameraman went down at the end of the first half from Brianna Stewart. And a foul on SMU.
Huskies are all over the place, taking cameramen out. There's no safe place if you're a cameraman on that baseline.
Stewart. 19 points now for Brianna Stewart.
And that foul was on Alicia Froling previously, bumping Brianna Stewart in the lane. And I like the bump. I like that aggressiveness. You know, that's what Rumpola wants to see. Not her team not to back down. Bump UConn when they go through the lane. Don't give them anything easy.
7 on the shot clock. Perry, and there's Mariah Jefferson reading it, taking it to the basket for 2 more. 7 points for Mariah.
Once again, spectacular defensive anticipation by Mariah Jefferson.
It's her second steal of the game to go along with her 7 points and 8 assists. And again, no turnovers. Perry. Kia Nurse there for the rebound. Stewart.
She was waiting for Tuck, right, to curl.
She was looking for Tuck.
To roll.
Right to the basket.
How about that take? Stephanie Collins is 6'5", and Jefferson gets the shot off, showing her athleticism.
Pass over the top of everybody, over Froling's head. We go back to the steal by Mariah Jefferson.
Great anticipation. Mariah knew the pass was coming, and then played off of her man to cheat over in the middle. That's a really good team defense.
Kia Nurse looking for the contact, gets it, and gets the roll. It seemed like at the start of the first half, UConn wasn't getting any rolls, but a friendly one there for Nurse and a chance to finish off the three-point play.
I haven't seen a freshman in recent memory on this UConn team so good at getting to the basket. Splits the defense, gets herself fouled, and she led in there with her left side, her back, to draw that foul. Just a really savvy play.
Three minutes gone by, second half. And there's a steal for Stewart. Jefferson finds the open teammate Nurse.
Nurse could have shot that. I like the decision to not shoot that ball, run offense.
Mariah Jefferson.
Should have been a walk, standing up.
Stewart back out. Nurse for three.
And that's a better three within the flow of the offense.
It's a 13-0 run to start the second half for UConn. More good defense as Mosqueda Lewis comes away with it. Kia Stokes will come in next dead ball. Nurse looking to dish. Instead there defensively is Perry. UConn ball with 16 to shoot. We take a look at the UConn teamwork replay breakdown presented by Honda.
Well, there, the nice kick. Two players were on Brianna Stewart. She fires it out to Nurse, wide open, who finishes the three.
Stewart goes to the bench. 19 points, 8 rebounds, and an assist as Stokes into the game. Morgan Bolton picks up the personal foul.
Well-deserved break there for Stewart.
Kia comes in as a 61% free throw shooter. Probably a number she'd like to improve as a player who is going to get to the line a ton in her UConn career.
Yeah, this kid is going to take a ton of free throws over the next 3.5 years. She's just so aggressive going to the basket.
1 of 2 from the free throw line this trip. Sanaya Chung in at the next dead ball. Keely Froling to her sister Alicia. Just had not a lot of open looks for this SMU team. A team that struggles offensively coming into the game. Last in the conference at 56 points a game. And UConn making it look easy as Morgan Tuck has her first field goal. Kayla Reese. Froling turns, and there's Kia Nurse waiting for her.
Kia Nurse, such a good team defender.
Outside, there's Stokes with the block. Into the hands of Nurse, and here comes UConn again. First block of the game for Stokes. Offensive rebound and a putback for Kia Stokes. And now Rhonda Rumpola will take a timeout. We'll take it as well. UConn here to start the second half on an 18-0 run. They had a 21-0 run in the first half. Another big one here in the second. Wednesday in an all-new Gino Auriemma show. Gino talks about the biggest challenges he faces as a coach, and you'll find out which freshman's selfless act has paid off in a big way. It's Wednesday at 9:30, the Gino Auriemma show only on SNY. Well, the numbers in the second half, SMU is 0 of 6 from the field. That brings them down to 11% for the game. UConn 7 of 9. They have outscored SMU 18-0 out of the locker room to go on top by 56. Sanaya Chong, Mariah Jefferson, Gabby Williams, Morgan Tuck, Kia Stokes, the 5 on the floor for second-ranked UConn. If you're just joining us, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis made a three-pointer in the first half to pass Diana Taurasi, take sole possession of the top spot all-time at UConn for three-pointers made. There's a block shot by Kia Stokes. Short foul called on UConn. Also in this game, Kalina took over 12th spot on the all-time scoring list, passing Stephanie Dolson. Not a way for Stephanie to celebrate her birthday this past week. Happy belated birthday, Steph, if you're watching. Timeout on the floor, back in a moment. UConn in the middle of a stretch of 10 games in a row against conference opponents until February 9th when they take on #1 South Carolina, rolling here at SMU. And South Carolina down at halftime by 5, came back to beat 10th-ranked Kentucky earlier today to remain undefeated. And they'll hold on to the top spot in the national poll. SMU not only looking for their first points of the second half, I think they're looking for their first uncontested shot of the half. UConn's suffocating defense has continued, and a foul called on SMU will send Gabby Williams to the free throw line. That gives me an opportunity to ask you today's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Who are the only 2 UConn players to lead their teams in three-point field goal percentage for 3 straight seasons? We'll have the answer coming up in just a little bit. If I had to have a first guess, I would say one has a lot of syllables in her name and one doesn't.
I think this is going to go way back.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Off the miss. Stokes with the rebound. And another foul on SMU. That's on Short. Raven Short's 3rd personal foul. 3 personals on Kiera Perry, who will head to the bench as Gabrielle Wilkins comes in. Jefferson, Tuck, Chong, Stokes, Williams, the 5 on the floor for UConn. They have never trailed in this game. They are on top 47-9 at halftime, and they have continued this long second half run, a 20-zip run for UConn. Williams pulls down the rebound for UConn. That's rebound number 6 for the freshman to go along with their 6 points. Mariah Jefferson off the screen, open look. Couldn't get it, but Gabby Williams has the loose ball. A few more people have entered the arena in the last 5 minutes. Did the Cowboys game end or something? They were all throughout the concourse watching on monitors. People working here everywhere, just trying to keep an eye on that Cowboys game. As Kia Stokes inside. She has 6.
Not a good day for Dallas fans here.
Now, a lot of football hype, as we joked about at the top of the telecast, with the College Football Playoff National Championship game coming up between Oregon and Ohio State at AT&T Stadium tomorrow. There's an open look, and it won't go down for Keely Froling. So this second half scoring drought will pass the 8-minute mark for SMU. Gabby Williams, Short with a clean block.
A nice help by Short coming down to double in that low post.
Mariah Jefferson doesn't use the Stokes screen, and she gets hit and Michaela Reese slow to get up. We are at a media timeout, so they'll have an opportunity to work with her here at SMU. Don't walk her outside of this building. It is Fall UConn here in the second half. Back here at SMU, 10 assists for Mariah Jefferson. It's been a good homecoming game for her. For more on that, here's Karen.
Well, Eric, thank you. We're on double watch over here in the Mariah Jefferson fan club. Sitting next to me is her father, Lorenza, her mother, Robin. It's so great to see you guys. And I have to ask you, what happened at Christmas? It seemed like there was a shift in Mariah's game. There's been 5 games since Christmas. She's been the leading scorer in 3 of them. Was Santa Claus magic for her?
No, we just told Mariah to play like she played in high school. Play more relaxed, just enjoy herself on the game. I tell her every game, do your best, have fun. So that's what she's been doing.
So just a reminder just to play loose, something as simple as that?
Exactly. Go out there and every game do at least one thing that you want to do that helps you play more relaxed. So that's what she's been doing.
I know you guys are a basketball family as well. One of the things to look at was she had 8 assists in the first 12 minutes. Assists are one of those stats that makes a point guard proud. What are you noticing about the way Mariah's been handling her point guard duties?
Well, that she's been playing more relaxed, and that also she's taking care of what's happening on the floor, and that it allows her to do and get assists and the girls to play more relaxed, to play as a team. And I just love it. I just love it.
While I took your eyes away from the court, she got the double-double.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's why I turned away for a second and looked to see what was happening. But okay, all right.
There you go, you got it. What does it mean for you to be here? It's not often that she gets to play in Texas. This fan club is 100 people strong. I'm not exaggerating there. To see your daughter play in person, what does that mean to you?
It means everything. Just to be, again, remember where she started out from. We were playing church ball, and now she's playing on top-level college basketball, USA basketball, you name it. It means everything, and I'm just looking forward to her playing on the next level as well, because I know she's going to make it. It's just a matter of time.
What do you see for your daughter's career? I'm asking you to brag a little bit, I know.
Career at UConn?
Sure, start there.
Well, it started out with, I told Mariah when she was looking at the different schools to go to. I said, if you choose UConn, you can get 4 national championships. Some of the other schools that she was looking at, I said, okay, maybe 1, maybe 2, but if you go to UConn, you definitely will get 4. Well, you got a chance to get 4 national championships. I won't say definitely because we're working on number 3 and, of course, number 4.
Well, she's halfway there, and every freshman who comes in says, we want 4. Well, Mariah and that group is a group that could get it done. Can you tell me, what are the changes, the biggest changes in Mariah's game that you've noticed since now she's in her junior season, but when she first stepped on the court wearing that Husky uniform?
It seemed like she played more programmed basketball, make the right pass, make the right read, almost overthinking. But now, like I said, she's playing more like she did when she was playing with her brothers, when it was them out in the backyard playing or at the gym playing. It's just more relaxed, and she's just playing basketball in a way that she enjoys playing the game.
You knew your daughter was talented, but has she done anything that surprised you?
Not really. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but that's the absolute truth. I mean, everything she's doing now is things that I knew she could do. And in fact, her mom was a little disappointed that she did not do this 2 years ago, or for that matter, last year, because everything she's doing, we always knew she could do.
You knew she had it in her. If you were to give her one fatherly piece of advice after this game, what would it be?
Continue to play the way you're playing now. Keep your head up. As always, do your best, have fun. That's more than one piece, but as I say it to her all the time.
Thank you so much for your insight. It is a joy talking to you, Robin. Thank you very much. Eric and Meg, I'll send it back to you.
And I'd like to say there's no love greater than a father and mother's love, because the Cowboys are playing, but they were here for the entire game, and all those 100 friends and family and fans of Mariah's coming down here to SMU today. And Mariah performed, no question about it, a double-double. And you could hear a little bit while Kareth was talking to him, when she made the free throw, you could hear people around, double-double. Like they knew.
They're keeping track. They're proud.
Points, 10 assists, 2 steals. And here's the thing that stands out for Mariah. When she was struggling, you can hear her dad tell Kareth about it. Just relax, play your game.
That's it.
It's 10 assists, no turnovers today. And that ratio continues to improve game by game for Mariah Jefferson. The score for SMU hasn't changed since halftime. I mean, it's 71-9. UConn has got reserves out there with the exception of Morgan Tuck.
UConn in a zone defense now. SMU a little out of sorts, playing without their second leading scorer and their leading rebounder, Destiny Hodge-McCray, who was indefinitely suspended for a violation of team rules.
Williams has it knocked away. Here's a rare transition opportunity, but look at UConn getting back. Flipped up, and Stokes threw it in the middle, and a foul's going to be called on Gabby Williams, trying to get after the loose ball. Well, they knew it was going to be a transition year here at SMU when they lost their two top scorers, including Keena Mays, who led the team in scoring and assists and steals and minutes, led the conference in scoring at 21 points a game. So there's a bit of a turnover on the roster. Very young SMU roster.
Yeah, the youngest in the conference.
Learning some hard lessons here today against UConn. Keely forward, this is it right here. Kia Stokes there for the block. Gabby Williams back out to Morgan Tuck. Worked around. Chong's three is good.
I can't emphasize how important these minutes are for Sanaya Chong to just continue to play basketball, and could maybe take Mariah Jefferson's father's advice. You know, just relax, just play and have fun.
27-0 UConn here in the second half. Lost out of bounds by UConn. SMU basketball when we come back. Hate to say it, but I'm at a loss for words. We still got 7:48 to go. Welcome back to SMU. A historic day for Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, who took over the #1 spot all alone on the all-time three-pointers made list. When we asked her who her favorite UConn player of all time is, she said,
I would say my favorite UConn player is Kalina Green. Just because I probably know Kalina the best out of anyone, any former UConn Husky, and I think that, you know, the whole time she was here, she did the little things. She was one of those great hustle players, and she's one of the smartest players that I've ever played with or been able to have help me, because she's come back to practices before and probably been one of the most help to me ever.
And Meg Como, you can see that being a great answer
Kalina
because
Green
you're a big fan too.
Yeah, one of my favorite all-time people, not even just UConn alums. She's just a spectacular human being.
A little timeout, SMU looking for their first point, and they got it. 7:40 to go in the first half. UConn outscored SMU 27-0 to start the second half before Kiera Perry knocked down the three-pointer.
Only her fourth of the season. Nice timing, Kiera.
And now a turnover. Taken away by Bolton, and Bolton will try to make it back-to-back, and she does.
And this is where SMU needs to use this succession of positive stuff to focus on and feed off of.
Ekmark to Stokes. Back out to Gabby Williams. Williams found a way to get it done. First points of the second half for Gabby, who had 6 at halftime. She is in double figures with a career-high 10 rebounds, by the way, in this game. That looks good from Bolton. 3 straight three-pointers for SMU. 6.5 minutes to go. Tuck sets, looks. Rebound to Perry. Bolton can't get this one. Williams goes over the top of the foul.
This place would have erupted.
Back to our Mercedes-Benz trivia question. We asked who are the only 2 UConn players to lead their teams in three-point percentage.
Silk
I
Davis.
was wrong on both. I thought it was going to be Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis and Sue Bird. You know, the long and the short of it. But
it
Silk
was Wendy
Davis wins. Really?
Yeah, I figured it. I wondered about Carrie Baskin, but I figured Silk had to be in there. I didn't realize it would be Maya, though.
Silk is your go-to answer, by the way, on most of the trivia questions.
Because 90% of the time it's going to be right. She's not nicknamed Silk for nothing.
Tierney Lawler into the game for the Huskies.
And how sad, in our 40s, I still call her Silk.
Oh, I'm sure she loves it. If my nickname was ever Silk, I would say you can call me that to my dying day. Out of bounds off of UConn SMU ball. We'll be back at it with you on Wednesday. We'll be at Gamble Pavilion as UConn takes on Temple. Temple fell to USF today in a matchup of teams off to 3-0 starts in conference play. The Bulls have now won 7 in a row, by the way. 70-58 was the final in Philly. Our coverage begins with the pregame show at 6:30 Wednesday only on SNY. Another block for Stokes, rejecting Collins. Wilkins, they made the extra pass to find the open shooter, and it's Kiara Perry who makes another one.
A little pep in SMU's step here late in the game. It's nice to see them competing. Their coach, Rhonda Rampola, told Carrot at halftime, and she talked to us before the game as well, but talked about wanting these guys to fight and compete. It's nice to see them knocking down open shots here late in the game.
Lawler for Ekmark. Back to Gabby Williams, who'll try it from outside. Well, double-double watch now over for Gabby. She's got her own double-double to go with Mariah Jefferson's double-double here today. 10 and 10 for Gabby. Perry now with 8 points for SMU, all in the second half. Gabby Williams is blocked by Stephanie Collins.
Yeah, you can't try to shoot over a 6'5" kid. You got to try to go around her.
Bolton, step back, knocks down another three.
On fire!
3 3-pointers for Morgan Bolton. Inside of 4 minutes to play. Lawler open 3. She's got it.
That'll get the UConn bench up and cheering.
First points for the sophomore since that Charleston game in Florida. 10 points now in the season for Tierney Lawler. Turnover by Ekmark into the hands of Bolton. Perry. Well, SMU really trying to move the basketball around the perimeter. They're getting some open looks finally.
Nice box by Sanaya Chong.
10 points, 11 rebounds in 17 minutes, and 2 steals for Gabby Williams. 8 points for Sanaya Chong. Ekmark. Gabby Williams, another rebound and 2 more points for the freshman.
Good positioning inside by Williams, and she just outworked SMU for that offensive rebound and putback.
So Gabby Williams has the double-double, new career high in rebounds. UConn closing in on a big win.
Gary Apple sitting alongside Kara Walters. So many positives for UConn today. Is there something that might jump out to you?
Well, I think the play of Gabby Williams and the freshman, and we'll tell you why coming up.
All right, People's United Bank postgame show is on the way.
Thank you, Gary and Kara. Looking forward to it in just a little bit. Lots of smiles on that bench right from the very start. Brianna Stewart, Kia Nurse, and the Huskies. Remember, at one time, they were 1 for 8 from the field. Shots were rolling in and out, but they just stuck with it and kept stretching it out. They had a 21-0 run in the first half, a 27-0 run to start the second half, and now with 2.5 minutes to play, on their way to a victory over SMU for the second time this season. Brianna Polito is into the game.
You know, you talk about their offense, but their defense is getting up on par with some of the great defensive teams of the past.
And a foul will send Kia Stokes to the free throw line.
People here complaining about this foul, but I thought she was fouled. You saw 32. Raven Short looking at the official like he's crazy. I thought she got her in the left arm.
Kia makes the first. Kia now with 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Does have 4 turnovers. I'm just going to prepare her because I think somebody in the coaching staff might point that out to her. That's how they do it. Waller comes away with the steal with 2 minutes to play. Gabby Williams with 12 points and 13 rebounds, her first career double-double. The 13 rebounds, a career high, 6 of 9 from the field. Waller feeling it now. 2 3-pointers for her today. The new career high, new season high, 6 points. Her career high has been matched with the 6 points.
You could see the walk-on so popular with her teammates. They were so happy for her to knock down that second 3.
Polito. Ekmark fighting for the loose ball. Ekmark and Polito, the only 2 yet to score for UConn. Kia Stokes will try it. And Gabby Williams still fighting for it, looking for it, bouncing around and pulled down by Raven Short. Final minute of play here in Dallas, and a substitution here as Michelle Lauer will come off the bench for SMU. And here is the Lawler 3.
And the pride of Ansonia, Connecticut. Watch the bench erupt. This team really loves being together, and they love each other. You can tell. Great chemistry.
It's usually up to Polito and Lawler to be the ones who do the little conga line of high fives after the 3-pointer. I think Kia Nurse was stepping into the void there with the 2 of them on the bench, on the floor, I should say. Let's watch one more time. Now this is just a frozen moment in time right there. Just good directing. Sometimes you just want to see the emotion, the looks on the faces. So we'd like to tip our hat to Dan Barr on that one.
We got it.
A couple of points now for Keely Froling. Her first points of the game as Ekmark brings it up. People's United Bank postgame show coming up when we're done here in Dallas. Gary and Kara standing by. Plenty to talk about, plenty to show you from another UConn win. Ekmark's 3 is short, and Short has the rebound. Bolton couldn't get another 3, but it's another rebound for Gabby Williams. That will be rebound number 16 for Gabby.
Impressive.
We may need to call an audible here on our Player of the Game award, Gerard. I may decide to throw it in, but you know what? Fitting to give it to Brianna Stewart and Mariah Jefferson. A double-double for Mariah, 11 points, 10 assists, no turnovers. And Brianna Stewart, the 19 points, and she was the spark right from the very start. Those are our Players of the Game presented by People's United Bank. Honorable mention to Gabby Williams with the 12 points and 16 rebounds as UConn wins it by a final score of 87-28 over SMU. Very young SMU team. They knew they were overmatched coming in. Final 7 minutes and 40 seconds, they were able to score 19 of their 28 points. But the Huskies have won 13 in a row, and here's Gino with Karen.
Hard to explain.
Well, Gino, I had to ask Mariah Jefferson's mom, Robin, for some advice on what to ask you after a game like this. She said, give credit to SMU for their string of 3-pointers, but what do you make after a half like this?
I don't know. I mean, our defense was good, obviously, but, you know, anytime somebody doesn't score for 12, 13, 14 minutes, whatever, it's not just your defense. It's, you know, they struggle making shots. You know, they've struggled all year making shots, SMU. And I thought we played really, really well. You know, we got a lot of people involved, and the game's
games like this are just obviously they're not indicative of how good we are. I don't think that score is indicative of how good we are. But it gave us a chance to work on some things, and we got a little bit better, and that's all that counts.
What were you able to work on as you tried a few different player combinations?
Well, I thought our offense last game was a little bit stagnant at times, so I thought we got a little bit better movement. We took care of the ball. We didn't turn it over. The little things that we want to get better at. Mariah had 10 assists, I think, at least, with no turnovers, and that's something that we've been harping about. Taking care of the ball. So it's little things like that we try to get better every day, and that's what we take out of this game.
Thank you, Gino.
You're welcome.
Garrett, thanks very much. Win number 893 for Gino Auriemma. Playing to celebrate. And there it is. There's the high five down the line. That's it, boys. 87-28. Sharing the wealth. Back in a moment. UConn women's basketball on SNY is brought to you by People's United Bank. People's United Bank has checking choices that are right for you. Visit peoples.com or your local branch. Member FDIC. By UConn Health, pioneering the science of personalized medicine. And by Mercedes-Benz. Once again, the final score, UConn wins at 87-28, the final over SMU. Our next UConn women's game on SNY will be this Wednesday night as the Huskies return to Stores to take on Temple. Our coverage begins with the pregame show at 6:30. Coming up next, it's the People's United Bank postgame show with Gary Apple and Kara Walters. For Meg Como, Kareth Burke, and our crew, I'm Eric Freed. So long for now from Dallas. Time for Gary and Kara.
So where we begin? So many different places we can go on our post-game show as we welcome you back inside our New York City studios. UConn has now won 13 consecutive games. SMU, they are struggling. They have lost 8 straight. And let's begin because there's a lot to talk about on offense. But let's begin on defense because they held SMU scoreless until the 7:40 mark of the second half. They began that second half on a 27-0 run. They held SMU in the game to 16% shooting.
Well, and Gino said he didn't think the score was indicative about how good UConn is and how bad SMU is, but I have to tell you, I think the defense was fantastic. You have to give credit to UConn for that. Even though they were playing an SMU team that totally overmatched, the defense was swarming. They were all over the place, hands in passing lanes, and their defense again turned into offense and transition. A lot of transition points, hands up in passing lanes, going down the other way and converting on those.
87-28 is how it finished up down in Dallas. And they were active. They were so active defensively. And we saw Breanna Stewart sitting on the bench. She didn't play all that much in the second half. We spent time on our pregame show discussing how to get her going on a consistent basis offensively. And we're talking about the leading scorer on the team, but she took just 3 shots last time out against Tulsa. 19 points, 8 rebounds, 4 block shots today. She came with an offensive mindset.
She did early and often. Breanna Stewart got into this game, and that's one of the things. You want to get her more points. Last time they played SMU, she only had 6 points. She's a very unselfish player. The funny thing is we say only had 6 points. Well, you forget in the last game when she only had 6 points, she had 8 assists. So she is doing other things. But because Breanna Stewart is capable of scoring the basketball, you wanted to see her get going in that way. And I got to tell you, Gary, I mean, she did everything, inside, outside. She was the dominant offensive threat we know she can be.
We saw it right there on that basket. We're watching it again with her attacking to the tin. You and I were sitting and talking before our pregame show. They need to get her, not tell Gino his job, and Gino's the best in the business. But when she gets the ball down on that low block, I mean, there's very, very few players in America that can stop her.
Yeah, I think sometimes she goes outside a little too much because she kind of wants to get away from that double team and that pressure and that pushing around. But when she goes inside one-on-one, you're not going to stop Breanna Stewart. You have to do, as a defensive player, do your work before she gets the basketball. If she gets down low, forget it. And we saw her do that today.
We saw the offensive mindset. She came out looking to score today. Let's get a look at complete game stats presented by People's United Bank, and UConn shooting it at 54% in the game, and again, SMU at just 16%. They out-rebounded, did the Huskies. SMU 51-34, and the Mustangs turned it over 19 times, leading to a number of runouts, a lot of easy baskets, as Kara said, as Connecticut rolls and improves on the season to 14-1 and 4-0 in the American Conference. Let's go back down now. Moody Coliseum. Welcome back in, Eric Freed and Meg Como. And guys, you know, one of the things I'm going to throw out there to begin here is, where is UConn, in your opinion, now, as opposed to where they were back in mid-November, last time they lost a game, and that was against Stanford?
It goes back probably to what Kara just touched on, Gary. It's the defense. Think about what they were defensively against Stanford, how they needed a wake-up call, and how they've been committed on that end of the floor since that game.
Yeah, huge difference. Certainly their defensive intensity, the ability to keep the ball in front of them. You remember that Stanford game, so much dribble penetration. They're not having that as much, but I see, as well as, you know, that defensive presence is much better. Offensively, I feel like they are a completely different team with so much more confidence, more cohesive, more chemistry.
And you hear so many players talk about their defense leads to their offense. Two players that jumps out to more than any other, Kia Nurse and Mariah Jefferson. When they're really turned up on the defensive end, which they usually are, usually translates into points and transition buckets. And that's what we've seen since that Stanford game.
Hey, Meg, how does Connecticut really focus? I mean, you're playing a game that is so lopsided. How do they focus and continue to work on Connecticut basketball?
Well, it's a great question, Kara, and I think you got to give the players credit and the coaches credit. But I think the wrath of Gino is enough in the back of all of their minds to know that we can't let up, or we got to deal with him flying home on the plane and then practice tomorrow. But I think, seriously, they focus so much every day in practice to not worry about the score. I think human nature is just that. I mean, there are times you can take the foot off the pedal a little bit. I thought they did a good job today in spite of the lopsided score.
I think The Wrath of Gino could be the title of a Hollywood blockbuster. I would pay to see that on opening night. I'm guessing Gary's sitting next to somebody who suffered the wrath of Gino, as am I, once in a while.
Yes, I could write a chapter in that
for better or for worse.
All right, Eric?
Yeah, we could. We both could.
Meg, we thank you guys. Safe
Yes,
travels.
Gary.
See you back. We'll see you back this week as we bring it back inside here. And Gabby Williams had a tremendous game. What a game for the freshman. Dozen points and 16 rebounds. We continue to see the emergence of this fine freshman.
Remember, Gary, she only played 2 minutes in that St. John's game.
Right.
Came back against Tulsa, had 15 points, and now she's built off that, coming tonight with the double-double. So the emergence of her, we know she is an amazing athlete. Now it's translating, learning the game of basketball and being a smart player. And the thing is, she takes advantage of mismatches in there. She went to that post position. She was a guard in high school. Now there's a lot of mismatches. How's the big girl going to guard that?
Right.
The penetration to the hoop. So she's realizing now what she's capable and learning that game in the post, and it's showing.
It is, and we've spoken about the fact that they have so many different players on this team. When you look at Morgan Tuck and Brianna and put Gabby Williams in that class too, players who can move around and operate from a lot of different places on the floor, and it creates so many defensive issues for opposing teams. And then her freshman running mate, Kia Nurse, also in double figures. She had 11 points, and she just brings you so many different dimensions as well when she's on the floor.
Yeah, and Kia Nurse, the one thing you know you can count on her for is her effort, her heart, her toughness. She's so strong getting to the basket. Now, she is a freshman, so freshmen still have to work on being smart and learning the game. But one thing that Gino can count on her day in and day out is she's going to be tough. She's going to be mentally tough and consistent, and she's a big guard. She's capable of shooting from the outside, but driving to the inside. And not only that, driving and then dishing the basketball. So she makes good decisions, in my opinion, there as well.
And we saw her fight through contact there, the basket and the foul. And oftentimes, freshmen do not handle contact well. So I think that tells you, and Gino has pointed out the fact, look, she's really not a freshman in many ways. And you've pointed out, too, the fact that she plays for the Canadian senior national team. But the ability to play through that contact tells you, I think, a lot about her.
A lot about her. She's a big guard, like Shea Ralph said, not like Sanaya Chung is a lot smaller guard. So she takes it to the basket, puts your head down. Something good's going to happen when you go to the basket. You're either going to score or you're going to get fouled. And you can see she, with confidence, takes it hard every time.
And another person who can handle contact, she's diminutive in size, and that is Mariah Jefferson. But she protects the ball when she gets into the land of the Giants. She attacks. Double-double for her, 11 points and 10 assists.
I mean, the assists are just phenomenal. And part of that is because people have to respect Mariah Jefferson more this year as a shooter. So they need to concentrate and know that, you know, she's capable of shooting. Then she can dish the ball when they come up on her. I think in years past, that wasn't an option as much because people laid off her. Now, because they have to respect her outside shot, she's able to distribute the basketball.
She's been scoring quite a bit lately. I mean, she's been putting up big scoring numbers. Not so much today, but you can see, even though, and I think it's really interesting when you look at this team, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis had 8 points in the game. Morgan Tuck had 5 points in the game. These are 2 of their 3 leading scorers. They had quiet offensive games, and they still made a mockery of this score against SMU. I think it says a lot about how good this Connecticut team is.
Well, I think that's why Joanne P. McCauley said early in the season that they played South Carolina, but they played Connecticut, and she thought, hands down, Connecticut was the deadliest team in the country. And one of the reasons for that is because they have so many weapons. Who are you going to guard? Pick your poison, because you know what? They're going to pick up the slack. If one of their teammates is not having a good shooting day, that's all right. We'll take, control of the wheel. So that's what makes this team so difficult to guard.
UConn is now 4-0 all-time against SMU as they get the big win today down in Dallas. 87-28 is how it finished up. So just getting going here on the People's United Bank Women's Post-Game Show. When we come back, we're going to have complete game highlights, and we're going to have Gino Auriemma's post-game news conference. Kara and I, we're coming back from the heart of Manhattan in just a moment. Back alongside Kara Walters. There's Gino Auriemma as the Huskies in search of their 13th consecutive victory as they took on SMU today. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, there it is, the record breaker, 319 from downtown.
She wants to get it out of the way early, Gary. She knocks down that 3 easy.
Kia Nurse, the freshman, little hesitation and then strong to the tin on the layup. UConn up early, 10-2, and then Brianna Stewart, and she came to play.
Early and often she got her shot off. Right there, she strokes it easy from three-point land.
Connecticut up by 13 off the SMU miss. UConn in transition.
And this is where they scored a lot of points. Their defense led to offense. You see it right there.
17-2. Connecticut had the lead, and then Mariah Jefferson. She's shooting that 3 with confidence.
She sure is. She didn't have a lot of points in this game, but she had good shots.
UConn defensively again forcing the turnover. Jefferson getting it to Gabby Williams, who glides in with the left hand. Connecticut up 28-4. Next SMU possession again, they turn it over, and here we go again the other way.
They force that turnover with their defense in transition, leading to offense.
Gabby scores on the layup later in the half. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, when she gets the puppy set in transition, she's effective.
That's where you give her the ball in transition. I don't know why the teams don't get the memo.
UConn up 47-9 at the half, the lowest point total allowed in a half this year. Mariah Jefferson, second half, glides in 52-9. At that point, Kia Nurse knocking down the 3. The freshman can do it all. 60-9. I'm not making these scores up. 60-9. Kia Stokes, the putback. I mean, it became sort of a clinic out there.
It sure did. But Kia Stokes, everyone, all the bench players came in and did their part.
You like the extra pass right there to Sanaya Chung.
A lot of extra passes today. The assists were fantastic.
UConn gets the win. 87-28 is how it finished up, and they go to 14-1 on the season. Once again, they shot terrific, 54% on the day, just 10 turnovers in the game. Let's go back down to Dallas. Here's more. Kareth Burke picks it up.
I'm with Mariah Jefferson, who had a double-double in this game. Did you want to bring it for Texas?
Oh, yeah. It's always fun when you're playing in front of your home fans and family and friends. So I just wanted to come out and have a good game.
I got to talk to your dad, who said there was something that changed in you over Christmas, and he reminded you, play the game of basketball. Is that something you had to remind yourself?
Yeah, I think I just get away from it a little bit and get home, see my family, just have a good time, and then come back to basketball and play the way I've always played.
make basketball fun again. Was there a time at the beginning of this season where basketball didn't feel as fun?
Definitely. I think I was overthinking, not playing my game, so it definitely wasn't as fun as it is now.
One of the reasons you got a double-double was because of all the assists you had in this game. That's usually an area that makes a point guard proud. How are you feeling about getting your teammates involved?
I felt really good. Stewie was knocking down shot after shot. Kay and Tuck, they were doing a good job of getting in the post, so they just knocked down open shots.
And Gabby Williams had her first double-double, too. What does it say about UConn that on any given night, you know, a player maybe that you wouldn't expect would have an excellent game?
It shows how versatile we are. You know, everybody can come in and bring something different. And Gabby had 16 rebounds, so that's crazy. So we're excited for her.
Aside from the scoreboard in this one, what stands out to you about how UConn played?
I think our defense is really good. I think we were really pressuring the ball and having a lot of intensity. So that's what we want to bring every game.
Congratulations. Your fan club loves you there. Bye.
Mariah Jefferson from Glen Heights, Texas, not far down the road from Dallas, so she was happy to be home. And those 10 assists to go along with the 11 points. But what really jumps out at me, along with those 10 assists, she didn't have a turnover. I mean,
right.
Boy, what a statement that is right there.
Right, and she's been doing that all season long. Like, her assist-to-turnover ratio is just fantastic. And that's just as important, obviously, as the assist, is taking care of the basketball. And UConn really did that today. Only 10 turnovers on the game. And to have a point guard that dishes out the ball and takes care of it really helps out.
It really is a luxury. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, as we spoke about in the highlights, made that early three-pointer, broke the record by Diana Taurasi, most three-pointers in Connecticut history. She had 3:18 coming in, knocked down 2 in the game. She's got 3:20 now, which is quite an accomplishment.
It is quite an accomplishment to be up there with Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. I mean, that's just... Those are some big-time names she's associated with, and she honestly wasn't thinking about it. It took her a little while to get over that hump and to get to this record, but those are the things you focus on as an individual at Connecticut, and I think she's happy to get it over with, that's for sure. People can stop talking about it now, but to be up in that kind of company, that's pretty impressive.
That is Connecticut royalty, I think.
That is.
Fair to say.
Yeah.
And when you look at Kalina, and we spend a lot of time speaking about Mariah and about Brianna Stewart and the freshmen. But let's face it here. When it comes tournament time, they are going to need Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis to open the floor with her ability to knock down the three ball.
Yeah, they're going to need everyone. Yeah. And Kalina, obviously, we've seen her kind of a few slumps here, not shooting the ball well as a senior. You hate to do that because every game is limited. You know, as a senior, every game... You know, your games are winding down here. The last time you'll ever play at Connecticut, so you want to make everyone count. But they don't win a national championship without Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis shooting better than she had in the last couple games.
And I think, and we were speaking during the game, a couple of times she put it on the deck, drove it into the lane, and then kicked it back out. That makes her, if she can do that, makes her that much more effective as a player, and it makes Connecticut that much better.
Yeah, she doesn't do that often enough. She's only been to the free throw line like 15 times this whole season. That is not okay with Gino. He wants her to go. She's not the quickest guard in the world, but she can get there to the basket, and then, like you said, people, come towards her. She kicks it out. So she adds that part of her game to it. That's going to be really helpful.
Nitpicking is what we're doing here.
Well, you have to.
No, of course.
And the one thing I told you, free throws. If you were to pick out something that was mediocre by UConn, they're not shooting free throws as good as they can.
Yes.
They're still second in the conference, but not the best that they can.
Listen, we've said it 1,000 times. They play against themselves. 87-28, you've got to be playing against somebody because clearly SMU was not playing at the level that UConn was today. So Karen and I have much more to do here on the People's United Bank postgame show. When we come back, we're going to hear from the head coach, Gino Auriemma, plus going to check in other action from around the nation and from around the American Conference. We're back in a moment. Time now for Lighting Up the Boards, presented by Restoration Lighting Gallery. Gabby Williams dominating at both ends on Sunday. A dozen defensive rebounds to go along with 4 on the offensive glass. Gabby had a career-high 16 rebounds. She also had a dozen points in the game. Her first career double-double. Let's check in. Kentucky taking on number 1 South Carolina. Under 10 seconds to go in the first half. Janae Thompson going to give Kentucky a 3-point lead. Just the third time South Carolina has trailed at the break this season. South Carolina came back in the second half. Asia Dozier from downtown drains the 3. South Carolina had the lead by 5. Under 3 to play. Gamecocks up by 8. Off the steal, Kentucky coach Matthew Mitchell upset there was no foul called. He gets a double technical. He's ejected from the game. South Carolina, again, number 1 in America. They walk off and win by a final of 68-60. Back to the American Conference. South Florida at Temple. Late first half, Courtney Williams getting the bucket and the foul. The Bulls had the lead by 15 at the break. Early second half, Williams to Alicia Jenkins. And South Florida could be the only team in the American to really give Connecticut any sort of a game this year. Williams had 21 as South Florida gets the win by a final of 70-58. Let's get a look at the standings in the American Conference presented by our friends at GMC. Connecticut and South Florida both 4-0 now in the conference. They sit atop, followed by Tulane and Temple. Let's hear from the head coach of the Huskies. Back to Dallas we go. Here's Gino Auriemma.
No, we're not that much better than they are. They're just, we played pretty well after the first 5 minutes of the game, and they didn't make a single outside shot. I think they banked one in early on, and that pretty much was it. And that doesn't happen very often, but it's hard against us. It's hard to play against us if you're not making shots, because we're not going to go, 5 minutes without making a bunch of shots. So it's just, it's fun watching us do some things, but in the end, I don't think that's the score that you want to be playing at, for sure.
Double-doubles for the Rock. What excites you the most about her capabilities and her potential, Gino?
There are things that go on when she's out in the game that coaching can only do so much for you. You can put players in certain situations. You can put them in this spot or that spot, or but in the end, they either have the ability to make that play or they don't have the ability to make that play. And I don't know that as time goes by that there's going to be any play in a game that she can't make. And that's what's exciting, to be able to, watch when she gets to that point at some point where she can make any play.
There was a shot early in the game, Stewart got the ball, fired a 3 and made it. Is that just one of those days when she's doing that, she's just got to go up?
Yeah, that's the way Stewie is. She's she's kind of kid that wants to get off to a great start. I don't particularly like the fact that threes are her way to get rolling. But I remember a lot of times last year that kind of set the tone for her for the rest of the game, when all of a sudden she knocked down a couple shots early and took off from there. But Stewie. There's not much you can say about that.
You often talk at this point to January where kids like getting a little low or a little physically tired because they're not in school. So where are you now? Are you happy that school's going to be starting, I guess, tomorrow, right?
No, next week. Next week. We still got another week. But the one good thing is that we're home all week, and this is one of the few times where we've actually had a chance to be at home for an entire week, and it's a week where we played 2 games in a row at Gamble, which we haven't done, so I think the kids are looking forward to that, and then the following week, will take care of itself. But right now, they just need to be home. They need to not be living out of a suitcase anymore.
Are they tired?
Huh?
Are they tired?
Are they tired? I think they're tired of the travel. Started off in California and it hasn't eased up. So I think they're tired of that. But in terms of are they tired physically, I don't think so.
Do you have any recollections of your last game?
They did not look all that tired to me. The slow start, but then they picked it up in a very big way. You know, that's something worth discussing for a moment. With this new conference, it's changed. You know, when we played in the Big East, it was pretty much on the East Coast. You went to Chicago to play DePaul and moved around a little bit, but I think with the machinations of these new conferences, it has changed travel and the way you have to approach it.
Absolutely. Going to Texas, I mean, those are long trips, and I think it makes a huge difference. I think you don't think about it much because Connecticut's handling it very well, but that's a big adjustment as a player to make those kind of trips and then adapt to time changes and all those things. You never had to adapt to things like that, and it's a different story now, and they're handling it pretty well.
As Gino said, they're coming back home, going to play the next couple of games at Gamble Pavilion. Before we head for break here, South Carolina won today, but they trailed for much of that game against Kentucky. They are the #1 team as far as what the polls are saying. We heard Joanne P. McCauley at Duke say, forget what the polls are saying. Connecticut's the best team in the country. So what do you think along those lines?
I agree. I think Connecticut's the best team in the country. They have more weapons than South Carolina, but South Carolina is very well coached. Dawn Staley played at the highest level.
Right.
You know, that's different than Gino. Obviously, he's a very good coach, but she thinks a little different. So it's something where they're very well coached, and that makes a huge difference. But honestly, I think UConn's the best team in the country.
I think so, too. Not done yet here. People's United Bank postgame show. When we come back, I want to wrap it up as Connecticut gets the win 87-28. We'll look ahead for what's next for the Huskies in just a moment. Let's get a look now at the Huskies' upcoming schedule, presented by Town Fair Tire. Temple is next on Wednesday, then South Florida, Central Florida. They go on the road to Cincinnati, and then East Carolina coming up on the 28th of January. Our next game going to be right here against Temple. We'll have it covered. Connecticut Lottery pregame show getting going at 6:30 from Gamble Pavilion. As Gino said, next couple of games are going to be on campus in stores at Gamble. Looking at the numbers here, these 4 games between Connecticut and SMU over the last couple of years, UConn has won them all by a combined total of 204 points. Now, if I'm using my college degree here, that's 51 points per game. A little bit lopsided.
Yes, just a little bit.
Little bit.
I don't like it for women's basketball because not all women's basketball is that lopsided. So, yes, those have been, but they're the youngest team in the conference. SMU, you have to say that. They didn't have one of their leading scorers, and you have to give them credit. They fought a hard fight. They just are not as talented.
Not easy for the Mustangs. So Connecticut goes to 14-1 on the season, 4-0 in the American Conference, and again next up Temple on Wednesday night. So that's going to wrap up our coverage of UConn women's basketball on this day as the Huskies get the win 87-28. For Carol Walters, I'm Gary Apple. We thank you for joining us. Have a terrific night. We'll see you back here on Wednesday.